All right. So we're back on this week's Couch Coach Live for Tuesday, August 18th, 2015. We were just talking about how this time is going by so fast.
Yeah.
2 weeks from today, and it'll be September 1st, which is,
One step closer to opening week in NFL.
September, wait, for your day, September 14th.
September the 14th.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
In the Georgia Dome, 7:05.
Yeah. And actually, this is the third week of our NFL previews. The previous weeks we did the North and the South. This week is the West. So we're going to start off with the AFC West preview. As we do every week, we having a starting five type of style. We ask 5 questions. So question number 1. Is this Peyton's last ride?
How old is Peyton? 30?
Peyton is 39. He'll be actually 40 next year. Next March or whenever.
Okay.
So he'll be 40 this year.
I think Peyton might actually play through the end of that contract. So he's probably got, what?
2
more years left.
Yeah, he got 2 more
I see him going to the end of that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like you're saying, he's at a point where, and people are starting to see, they call it a decline, but even with this, last season, almost 5,000 yards with 39 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. I'm like, to me,
The decline, I think what he saw the decline was from the passing production. Wes Welker didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play.
And so Julius Thomas was hurt half the year. So the weapons that he's accustomed to having, where you see those 3 1,000-yard receivers that he usually has, didn't happen last year.
Yeah.
And then they kept trying to find the running game throughout the season until it took them to get C.J. Anderson and Rodney Hillman and
even with C.J. Anderson, even though he did pretty well, almost had 1,000 yards that season as well. And you're looking at Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, of course, working like receivers in their that nice offense they got, and they got your boy Gary Kubiak in the fold, former. Can I make a mention? Can I make a Shanahan reference? Under the tutelage of Mike Shanahan, was John Elway's backup quarterback once upon a time. And actually was the offensive coordinator when they went to the back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And you're looking on defense. Our guy, Wade Phillips, he's heading the defense there. And, of course,
are they going back to the 3-4?
From my interpretation, yes. Because, they're doing the 3-4.
Yeah, okay. So now that team, you can utilize that team better fit because that team is constructed to run the 3-4.
Yeah.
They were built to run the 3-4. Then Mike Fox got there.
John Fox.
Fox gets there, and they go to a 4-3 team.
4-3.
So now you can put Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware back at the stand-up linebacker positions. That's what they good at.
Versus getting them right up front, and
because Von Miller is undersized to play as a defensive end. It's the same thing with Elvis Dumervil a couple years ago. He was perfect for that 3-4 role, but then they switched him back to a 4-3. And say what you want about Wade Phillips. The man might not be a head coach, but he is certainly a hell of a coordinator.
Great defensive coordinator. He's one of the best defense coordinators in this league.
Yeah, he's just, everybody isn't made to be a head coach. And I think he's one of those people. He finally understands that, his time as being a head coach, he tried it out and it didn't work.
Yeah. And like you're saying, bringing in that 3-4, got a guy like Malik Jackson in the fold, Sylvester Williams. And actually,
where's he from?
Sylvester Williams?
Yeah.
He's from Alabama.
Is he?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I thought he was from that school down in Chapel Hill.
That was Marvin. I know Marvin Austin's from Carolina.
Yeah. But it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He did go to Carolina. I forgot. Yeah, because I know him and Marvin Austin went there. Derek Wolfe as well. And linebacker sports got, of course, DeMarcus Ware, the ageless wonder.
Out of the great state of Alabama.
Pretty much. Your guy Shane Ray, Mr. Hopefully he gets his life together and don't get caught up like he did the week before the draft.
The one thing I do want to see with Denver is how they can keep up that level with their secondary.
Yeah.
Because as you know, Corey Underland, their previous D-back coach, is now a product of the good old Philadelphia Eagles. So
move to the East Coast.
Yeah. So I mean, you got good corners: Akeem Talib, Chris Harris, and even T.J. Ward at the safety spot. Raheem Moore left and went to Houston, I believe.
Yeah.
So, that all remains to be seen how that part of the defense can hold up. But other than that, I don't see that offense missing a beat. It's Kubiak, the zone running scheme is going to pan out for Denver. So, the running back problem won't be big of a deal because you can't lean on Peyton that much longer this late in his career.
With him being at 39 years old, it's kind of, It's one of those things where you don't want him to throw for 5,000 yards, and like and he get to a point in January, and to a point where he's no good. So most definitely.
But it's just it also has to come to that time when do you transition away from Peyton Manning, because I know they have Brock Osweiler in the fold, but can he sustain? Because looking at some of the preseason games, New England's faced with the same situation where Jimmy Garoppolo did not look fantastic.
Yeah, he didn't. And I mean, like you're saying, and with Jimmy, with him, you might have to use him sooner.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to find out very, very soon. We're, to this date of August 18th, we're going to still say that Tom Brady suspended for 4 games. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So, at this stage, he's still suspended.
I just... because it also looks like, is Denver falling into the same trap that the Colts fell into, when they weren't prepared for life outside of Peyton Manning? And are you... Because you built that team up to be a playoff contender. Because you signed in all these free agent acquisitions for a good period of time. Now, if Peyton leaves, can you afford that 1 year drop off to where you bring back another quarterback? Because by that time, you're going to have people whose guaranteed money has run out. They want to leave and this, that, and the third. So I don't...
Actually, I give you another one. It's almost reminiscent of when John Elway left.
Yeah.
When you look at it from that type of situation, I mean, there's Greasy isn't walking through that door. Your boy,
Cal Wooden.
Cal Wooden's not walking through that door.
They went through Jake Plummer.
Jake Plummer, and then Timmy Tebow. So none of those guys are walking through that door. So I think it's just one of those things where Denver's gonna be okay. I think.
Yeah, they'll contend again this year.
They'll contend again because just look at, and as we talk more in the AFC West, it's a two-man race.
Denver and San Diego.
Yeah. So question number 2: Can Alex Smith lead the Kansas City to the playoffs?
No.
And backstory with the Kansas City Chiefs, they ranked 29th in passing yards, but they only average a paltry 198.9 yards per game. Alex Smith, 3,265 passing yards, 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. What you thinking to yourself? It's like, is he a rookie? You know what I mean? Because those numbers are it's crazy.
Yeah, especially for the money that he's making.
Yeah, and I mean he only threw the ball 464 times.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah,
it's kind of. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like you're saying, the money as well as just the stats don't match.
Yeah,
and you look at it from the type of standpoint, it's like something's missing here.
Yeah, and it's just he plays the game too careful. When you look at Alex Smith play, you can tell he's one of those guys who's concerned about his stats because he doesn't take chances down the field where he should. When you have a running back, you have a top tier running back in Jamal Charles, so that means the play action is there.
Yeah.
So something is not quite working where you have to take those shots down the field. You can't have your running back facing 8-9 in the box week in and week out. And just the numbers that he put up, no touchdowns to a wide receiver last year. That means he didn't even attempt to go down the field last year. Everything was check downs and screens and shorts. Check downs,
and your boy Kelsey was getting all the touchdowns last season.
I mean, it's just it's
ridiculous.
I don't know if you can attribute that to Andy Reid. I mean, he's finally dialed it back because as a product, when he was coaching the Eagles, everything was downfield. Everything had to be downfield. And now he's going to a more conservative look where you get the yard, take the yards as they come.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a change in his philosophy or if that's just a result of how Alex Smith actually plays the game.
That, and I think that in the combination of, at the time, was a lack of downfield threats too.
Yeah.
And you're looking at now getting a guy like a Jeremy Maclin could help that possibly.
Yeah.
Only guys at the University of Missouri that's actually panned out at this stage, and as far as unscathed from the law. Because you're looking at, and now also they got your guy Jason Avant, and other guys they have is Albert Wilson and Chris Conley. So it's a chance now. I think that this can slightly open up for him. I mean, you're looking at guys that they had last year, and it's like you can kind of understand the reason why it was that way. And like you said, we said Jamal Charles, the AKA what he called himself, LeBron of football.
Yeah.
Like you said, and like I was telling you earlier, a lot of people, it's really high on a lot of people fantasy football, which is odd.
I mean,
it's good. I mean, as far as just the yardage.
I think it's just because he was all they had.
And then especially in that offense where there was no receiver catching no touchdown, so it's almost like it gave him a lot more carries and a lot more. Yeah, it's just like
looks.
The
way Steven Jackson was used years back in St. Louis. There was nothing other than him, so he always ranked high on fantasy lists because the ball had to go somewhere.
Yeah, and you're just looking at this team is like the defense. The defense was fairly decent last year. They ranked 7th in total defense. Other benchmarks, they were 2nd in points allowed and 5th in sacks. Just definitely due to the part of our guy Justin Houston, who just signed that monster deal a few months ago.
With that, I think there's also Andy Reid kind of probably has the best defense that he's ever fielded. So he didn't really have to worry about anything. Like Romeo Crennel really built up that defense with that team, and so like Andy Reid is just there to reap off the benefits. Now it's going to be, can he sustain that? Because he's supposed to be this offensive quarterback whispering guru. It's not translating what you see on the field because, and I think it may be from the hangover from that playoff loss that they suffered from, being up 4 touchdowns, you actually lose that game. So,
which that's just crazy to think.
And at that point, they were like one of the last undefeated teams that year, and then they just to go out like that because of Andy Reid's refusal to run the football.
Yeah.
And so like now, last year he just kind of turned around. He was so overly dependent on his running back.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where it's just like it's one of those things with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are like, I wouldn't say they're a big ball of mystery, but it's one of those things where you lean towards one where you're thinking, okay, like you said, the offense. It started to slowly get a little bit better. Alex Smith finally got some guys who can be considered down the field threats. Then you're looking at the defense. Defense is pretty good. Then you're thinking to yourself, this team is on the fringe.
Yeah.
More so than anything. I know I'm not gonna totally write them off like everybody else. A lot of teams are pretty much saying they'll be just as worse as Oakland, which I don't see.
I won't go that far.
I've heard a couple of those conversations. And like. I mean, they're a little more established.
Yeah, and it's just like when you see Alex Smith play, he's playing not to lose the game.
Yeah, and
he's also playing not to win the game.
Yeah, and that's
Herb Edwards probably having
and the whole game management thing to me is just it baffles me in a sense.
And I think it has to attribute to his earlier transgressions in the league where he was changing offensive coordinators year in and year out, and it's just his interception number was just extremely high. So now he's down back. He doesn't take as many chances as he does because everything is 5 to 10 yards. There's nothing down the field. So I think he has like the mindset where he doesn't want the loss to be solely on him. Where he's been in years past. And
like you said, he has a lot of guys in his ear from past situations.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, one guy tell you to do this, one guy tell you the next. And, especially in San Francisco. I'm like, San Francisco is one of those situations where it's like, I felt for him because I remember once North Turner left, it was like such a drop off.
Yeah.
Because then when he had those guys, they were like on the verge of doing something. And of course, he went to the team that we're getting ready to mention now in the San Diego Superchargers.
Okay. Go Chargers.
Question number 3: does Phillip Rivers have the most pressure to win a Super Bowl?
I think he does because he's one of those quarterbacks that he's right there on that borderline of being elite. He's almost in the Dan Marino category where he's gonna have all these stats and numbers, but never been made a deep playoff run in the Super Bowl. And I don't think that's a fault to his. Yeah. Is he has dealt with some turnover as far as with coaches, and they've been cycling players in and out, so he never really had that main guy other than Antonio Gates, who's taken a pounding throughout his career. And I don't see where, a lot of times your tight end can't be a leading receiver. Yeah. You have to have that guy on the outside who takes up that slack. And, you saw the drop off as far as with the running game when LT left. So they haven't had a consistent running back there to take the pressure off of Phillip Rivers. And slowly but surely they've worked to build the defense up. And it's just that one of those things where also he's in a crowded area where elite talent is, as far as in the AFC. So somebody has to lose.
Most definitely. And you're looking at, like you said, the rushing game has been, they struggled mightily last year. They ranked 30th in rushing yards per game. Now you insert Melvin Gordon.
And I don't think that's fair to you have a veteran quarterback and Phillip Rivers to have to lean on a rookie running back. I don't think that's fair to him at all. Yeah. Now, are they going to totally phase out Brandon Oliver or
that, but even with that, and now I guess just the way the league is set up now, it's almost like you got to go and get that young, cheap talent. I mean, especially at the running back position where it's just a shame how that position it's vital, but people don't treat it as vital.
It's devalued.
It's devalued like tremendously because one of those I used to call it matter of fact, the last person who I deemed as a franchise running back coming into the draft, not how he is currently.
Okay.
Your guy Trent Richardson. Yeah. Trent Richardson was one of those guys where I was like, okay, Cleveland's gonna get themselves a franchise running back, and that's how once upon a time you viewed guys like him as franchise running back.
But I don't look at Trent Richardson as that being his fault. The Colts made an offer that they couldn't, that Cleveland wouldn't turn down. I wouldn't turn it down either. 2 first-round picks for this running back,
and you get Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, well.
But that's what I'm saying. Like now, it's just funny how the train of thought even 3 years ago was okay. You get a high draft pick on a running back versus now it's just like we're not gonna do that.
They treat running backs like a used tire.
Yeah.
You get enough miles out of them, and then all right, let me get another one.
It's like I shouldn't say this, but my old car. I remember I went to one of those places and they like. You'll pass your inspection, but you're gonna have to get some new tires in 6 months. The wheel fell off. I think them things last almost a year for me.
Oh yeah.
Until the next inspection. But yeah, this is one of the things. You're right. It's just like a used tire. We need it to get the car going. But we know there's such a short. We want them cheap. We don't want to go to $200 or $300 for a set. I can just get them for $150 and be fine.
Because you look at. All right, coming out of college, they said Trent Richardson was that surefire running back. Yeah. And yet he fizzled out. 2 years later, you got the same style of running back in Eddie Lacy, who doesn't go until the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And look who pans out better.
Exactly, Eddie Lacy. And that's why it show you how it has dramatically changed. In most drafts, he would be like a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
But just the whole, and that's what I'm saying, like how it just diminished so quick.
Yeah.
But
because you look back, Reggie Bush was taken 2nd overall. He was like the can't miss guy.
But and actually,
New Orleans didn't. Even though they took him that high, they didn't value him as high. They used him all over. Punt returner, kick returner, slot receiver, running back. It was just too much. it wasn't where he could focus because all right, we'll bring him in for this play. All right, let's get him out. Let's bring somebody else in.
Yeah, let's bring in your boy.
It was a Mike Bell,
Deuce,
Pierre Thomas.
Sometimes even Deuce McAllister was there back then.
Yeah,
that first year, the year they went to the conference championship. It's very, very, very weird. But like we said, at the tight end position, Antonio Gates, the ageless wonder.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Who's also suspended for the first 4 games this year.
Oh, yeah. Actually was a former teammate of Jason Kidd at the University of California.
Huh?
Was he there?
No, it was Kent State.
Tony Gonzalez. I got the wrong tight end.
Yeah.
I was ready to say, I just thought about it. I was like, no, because Jason Kidd's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Gonzalez was there. But also, at the receiver, you got Stevie Johnson and Keenan Allen. So, So
and Manti Te'o and his girlfriend still in San Diego.
No, she died, man. Man, she did, man. Like, she died, man. Like, man, that ain't.
Who else? Got Donald Butler.
Yeah, your boy, Denzel Perryman.
From Miami, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully our guy will make the team. Shout out to Curtis Grant, Ohio State, and also by way of Hermitage High School, Central Virginia.
You're learning now.
Central Virginia, young man, straight out of Richmond. But anyway, he's a local product here in the 804 region. And also, shout out to our guy, Brandon Flowers, man. Flowers, Virginia Tech. Yeah. Also, some other guys. You had Chris Davis. Also, your boy, Eric Whittle. Still there. They still together.
Yeah, I think he's going to be leaving soon.
Yeah. I mean, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
For him.
Oh, they have Jacoby Jones as well.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Well, he should have been a Super Bowl MVP that year, but
he should have. Mr. Dance with the Stars. Dance with the Stars. Actually, following one of the best receivers in Houston, Texas franchise history.
Huh?
Did he played for the Texans?
Nah, that was
who was that?
Jacoby Ford.
Oh yeah, because Jacoby Ford went to
Clemson.
Well, someone was from Virginia. That was their receiver.
Jerome Mathis.
Yeah, I knew somebody went there
from Petersburg High School.
Yeah, but I thought he went to Houston.
Nah. Nope.
So what? So he's from Baltimore from the beginning.
Yeah.
Really? I don't know why I thought he went there.
Yep.
I don't know why I thought that. But question number 4: Can Derek Carr and the Raiders make a splash in this division?
Not yet. They are still a ways away.
And we just for Oakland, I'm just gonna do it by the numbers. So in total offense, they rank 32nd. In rushing, they rank 32nd. Passing, 26th. Scoring, 31. I mean, and then other actually the glass half full moment for this year's Oakland Raiders. They actually had a 72.4 red zone touchdown percentage rate.
Wow.
That shit was first in the league.
Wow.
Who knew?
But how many times did they get to the red zone to do that?
Who knows? So it's just, they converted 74.2% of the time that they were in the 72.4 every time they got into the 20s. So, this was a Scott Hansen moment, pretty much.
But not to jump back, you were correct. Jacoby Jones did play for Houston, Texas.
Okay,
sorry, you stand corrected.
Yeah. But and also, wow, turnover differential. And I always tell people, and I don't know why people are like, oh, I always think that's like the key stat to me. If you're a plus 10. You're a Super Bowl contending team.
Okay.
If you're a plus 10, you're a Super Bowl contending team.
So tell me Oakland was a plus 10.
They was a minus 15.
Okay, well, so
they was ranked 37.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. That's I always tell people that's a key stat when you look back.
Yeah, because you giving your offense a chance to get the ball back.
And I remember, this is a favoritism moment. I remember when in 2012 we had a plus 10 turnover.
I mean that year y'all didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
So
okay.
I mean y'all did.
I know, but I'm saying that doesn't matter. We have a plus 10 turnover ratio. So,
I was not used to that Redskin team at all.
That team was a
was RG3 went through 5 picks that year, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a great season. But anyway, and yeah, like you said, David Carr, of course, is their quarterback. Backing them up is Christian Ponder.
Mr. Ponder.
And your boy, Trent Richardson is trying to revive his career. Yeah. It's going to be
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Also looking at receivers again, your boy, Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, and Rod Streeter and Andre Holmes.
And then also the bright spot in that offense, I would say Marcel Reese.
Yeah, Marcel Reese.
He's probably one of those combo fullbacks that we saw in the early 2000s, like the Mike Allstott,
Lorenzo Neal.
Yeah, those type of players who just weren't blockers. They actually contributed on the field.
Yeah. And yeah, this is one of those type of teams. It's one of those type of teams where it's like they are. I want to say they're about a good 3 years away.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their defense, it's not bad.
But
the glaring hole that they have on that defense is Mr. Nate Allen.
Yeah, your boy.
Who never saw a double move he didn't like.
Yeah, your boy.
He will bite. I mean, the linebacking core is probably the strength of that defense.
Yeah, you're looking at Khalil Mack, Curtis Lofton, and your boy
Seal Moore. And also Super Bowl MVP Malcolm Smith.
Smith is in there in the fold.
Oh, wow, that linebacker that back up Ray Armstrong, who was touted
as one of the best. Yeah,
he was touted as the next Sean Taylor coming out of University of Miami.
One of the best safeties. Yeah,
but now they converted him to my linebacker.
I remember. Yeah,
so we'll see how that pans out. But
it'll be very interesting.
It's just, I think that the biggest problem with Oakland is probably their coaching staff. They can't keep turning over coaches like that, even though Dennis Allen should have never been their head coach.
He should have been their head coach in the first place.
Yeah, and so you keep turning over coach after coach. Who is their coach now? It's hard to keep up with Oakland.
Oakland. Jack Del Rio.
Okay.
So, and that's why I'm like, he fits their personality. He fits that mold. That's why, in a sense, I kind of hope that they do go to L.A.
Yeah.
To me, I think they're just a move away from because they don't really establish an identity. They're in the midst of an identity crisis.
Yeah. And
I'm not trying to say Oakland is going to the worst place in the world, but
it's just with LA being in Oakland now, it's synonymous. The Raiders being in Oakland now is synonymous to them losing because.
Yeah. Really. Because even when they went to the Super Bowl years, they went to L.A.
Yeah.
Because they moved to Oakland in 95.
They moved back to Oakland.
Because they went to L.A. and then they moved in the 80s. They moved in the 80s. Because
it was in the early 90s.
They came back to Oakland.
Because I want to say it was in 94.
Because it's been 20 years. I know for sure, about 20 years. And it's just this team is in dire need of an identity crisis versus all these other teams. They have a somewhat of a mantra to go by. Versus here, it's nothing but turmoil, coaching turnovers. Like you're saying, it's hard to even remember who's been there. Because it's almost it's a who.
Every year, it's just when they have to draft, when they get in their draft ready, they know they have to get a new coaching staff.
Yeah, so it's and then it's never, like you're saying, and then even with that, these guys don't have enough time to get their own guys in to implement their system and to implement their schemes and pretty much their whole verbiage of the playbook. So it's kind of hard for a guy to succeed when he don't, when you don't even give him, $5 and make a meal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the first of all, the carousel that they had at the quarterback was just crazy.
Yeah.
So you went from, now you're Derek Carr, you went Matt Schaub, Matt McGlone, Terrell Pryor, Carson Palmer. It was just too much. Jason Campbell.
Oh, God.
And so that's just in the last 3 years. How can you expect a team to do good if that's all you're doing is turning quarterbacks over? You're turning quarterbacks over like coaches.
Yeah, and that's a position where you
need continuity.
You need continuity, and you're looking at like these teams that are in this division. They have guys, what we say in the two-man race that is in this division. Guys who've been in these systems for years. Especially you look at a guy like Phillip Rivers who's been there. This is his 12th year and coming in. So he's been there. Peyton, he's been there since 2012. So it's one of those things where it's just there's continuity. Yeah. And even to an extent with Alex Smith, he's been there. This will be his third year here. So even with that, and then listen to those guys. They were there during the when these guys were at their respective teams that are still there.
Yeah, because even when Oakland was good, they had Rich Gannon at the helm. Yeah. So they had somebody in place.
That was stable. And then after that Super Bowl loss, it went downhill. Yeah. So, shout out to Callahan, Coach Callahan,
I wouldn't shout that out, but,
I mean, hey, I was, we'll talk a little later, how, my impressions of my beloved Washington Redskins preseason victory. We'll talk about that a little later. Okay. So question number 5 is how will they finish? Who you got first?
As shocking as this may sound, I'm going to go San Diego.
Okay.
At 11-5.
Okay.
I'll go Denver at 11-5. I'll go Kansas City 8-8. And Oakland, I'll give them 6-10.
Okay. All right. So I have the Broncos at 10-6, the Chargers at 10-6. So we both have identical records for. Yeah, it's one of the things where it looks like it's going to happen. I got the Chiefs at 7-9, and I got the Raiders at 4-12. So far, this has been our third week of previewing the AFC. So in the AFC North, I had the Steelers at 11-5, the Ravens at 9-7, the Bengals at 8-8, and the Browns at 5-11. LA had the Steelers at 10-6, the Ravens at 9-7, the Bengals 9-7, and the Browns at 5-11. We also did the AFC last week, where I had the Colts at 13-3. The Texans at 9-7, the Jaguars at 4-12, and the Tennessee Titans at 1-15. Which that's not gonna happen. And LA, you had the Colts at 11-5, the Texans at 9-7, the Jags at 3-13, and you also had the Titans at 2-14. So, hey,
we're getting down there.
We only pretty much. And later on we'll get into the AFC, the NFC West, one of your favorite topics of all time.
Oh boy!
With
don't. I have to build myself up to get to that point.
Yeah, we'll definitely give you ample time to get yourself together with that. So we'll get into our top stories of the day. Definitely got to give a shout out to LA and his Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. One night and one night only. Hey, man. You defeated the Colts by the final score of 36-10.
Convincingly.
Thoughts? I give you a few minutes.
I mean, we played a good game, better than what I expected. We did have our sloppy moments. I mean, you expect that in the first preseason game.
Yeah.
Great showing by a rookie class. Nelson Aguilar, 3 catches, 57 yards. He did have, a couple of drop passes, but I attribute that to, after the first catch, your first NFL catch is a touchdown. Yeah. So, I saw him looking up the field before he caught the ball. Things like that can be cleaned up in practice. So, with that, then, Mark Sanchez stated that he thought it was going to be an open competition for the starting. He just lost that job.
Oh, yeah, he's lost.
2 for 7? No, sir, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're overthrowing receivers, who you had chemistry with. It wasn't like receivers, like only one new receiving target that you had outside of, Nelson Aguilar. You're overthrowing Jordan Matthews and Trey Burton. These are guys who you practice with
daily
last year. So you establish that chemistry with those guys, and to go and choke like that, it was unforeseen. And Matt Barkley, who really shocked me, who looked like Matt Barkley from USC, at one point I thought I was be happy to see him leave. Now I have him actually being the backup quarterback, and Mark Sanchez is now out the door.
Okay.
Again, with our defense, it was a good test to see the pass coverage that we had, even though we were missing all of our inside linebackers, Kiko Alonso, Michael Kendricks, D'Amico Ryans. None of the guys who usually make our defensive calls, they were missing from the game due to rest and injuries.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of underneath passes that were completed by Andrew Luck because those starters weren't there, so they didn't make the right calls. The run defense was superb. The best front three in the league, when I think young core talent, not a guy over 25, and Cedric Thornton, Benny Logan, Fletcher Cox, these guys are going to be the staple of our defense for years to come. With that, looking at those three, last year we only gave up 100-yard rusher all season. That was the Frank goal, and a lot of that was, busted coverages and things like that, broken plays. So I like the direction we're going in. Even Tim Tebow had an amazing game. By the numbers, it wasn't that great. He was sacked 3 times. He just still has to get rid of that notion of he can outrun everybody. He's not in college anymore. You're bouncing off of players. Like, this is the NFL. People pay millions of dollars to tackle you.
And you're a little older.
Yeah. So
yeah.
He was 6 for 12, even though started the game out at 4 for 4. He had the release looked a whole lot quicker than that slow windup that he used to have. So
yeah.
I think that will come with time. He's going to be a third string quarterback, so I don't expect him to light it up. And he dealt with third string blockers, so it wasn't totally his fault, but there were some things, him being a veteran, that he has to clean up.
Yeah. So my biggest question is, so is he going to be in Philadelphia, or he's going to be on the SEC network?
He'll be in Philadelphia. He will be. Okay. He's going to make the team. It's like I said, it's Sanchez is now on the outside looking in.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So also, we'll make a brief transition. The National Labor Relations Board declined Northwestern football attempt to unionize. And this all comes from the heels of pretty much, it's been nearly about almost a 2-year transition where Northwestern quarterback Kane Coulter reached out to the president of the College Athletic Players Association to discuss conditions and rights of college athletes. And also, on March 26th of last year, the Chicago district of the NLRB rules that Northwestern football players are employees and can unionize. So that pretty much was the spark of the revolution. And actually, they even had support from Northwestern football head coach Pat Fitzgerald. He did. Actually, he didn't have. Let me retract. So actually, on April 5th of 2014, Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald urged his players to vote against forming a union, and of course, that was he was gonna have that type of stance. I mean, it only makes sense. And also, April 25th of 2014, Northwestern football players cast a special secret ballot about whether to form a union. The ballot boxes will remain sealed while the university challenged the effort to unionize. And also actually happened yesterday, on Monday, that the NLRB overturns a decision that allowed Northwestern football players to form a union. As a result, the results of the ballots cast on April 25th of 2014 will not be revealed, and the players cannot appeal the decision. Which I'm not surprised. I mean, it's one of those things. It's not surprised, and then they don't have, and then they can't appeal.
Yeah, Go figure. It's just one of those things that it was a valiant effort. I do think.
Yeah.
They needed more support other teams, but it's also, it's all the whole thing where it's don't bite the hand that's going to feed you. So, you're going up against the juggernaut that is the NCAA, who just lost a $50 million lawsuit to Ed O'Bannon. So they weren't going to have that again. So I think that was kind of some hush money to whoever overheard the case. It's like, all right, end this quickly and quietly, take this paycheck and keep it moving.
I call it the Greg Hardy envelope.
Yeah. So you would have liked to see one team out of 117 Division I teams. You needed a bigger powerhouse, better than Northwestern is known as the journalism school rather than you needed someone who could make a dent into the impact of college football. Some way from some school from the ACC, the SEC, Pac-12, somebody of some significance as far as an effect. Like, if University of Texas was to go up and
my goodness, Texas or Alabama.
Somebody with a bigger...
more pageantry and more of a voice and more of the attention-drawing type of audience. Where you have a situation where they put busting seats. So, of course, you're going to hear what Texas... If Texas generates $16 million, this, that, and third, of course you're going to hear what they say because they're the ones who are putting money and funneling money into your system. This is almost like UAB forming the lines. To be honest with you,
you need a team that
you need somebody
that sells out. That has that primetime game that everybody's going to tune into, as opposed to Northwestern comes on Fox Sports at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll never know about it.
You never know. That's when you take a nap or when you do the honey-do list. So, and that's one thing. It's a valiant effort.
But you can't do nothing but applaud the effort. So did Mike Greenberg, jump in and say something?
Which I didn't even. It's so funny. I didn't even watch Mike and Mike this morning.
Oh wow.
Actually,
the decision came out today, right?
Came out yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday. So he would have talked. I don't even think is he on this week. I know he went on. I don't think.
Right.
But interesting. But so now I guess we need to address the elephant in the room. Once again, this young precocious quarterback that plays for for the Washington Redskins. No, stop. Mr. Griffin. He also had a interview with WJLA, and he said that I feel like I'm the best quarterback in the league, and I have to go out and show that. So, and of course, everybody's headline is RG3 say he's the best quarterback in the NFL, which is not true. It's one of those things where his words were out of context, and he, pretty much was saying, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I just go out there and I need to work, and then this one-liner pretty much generated the most headlines. I'll let you go. You go first.
Being a professional athlete, you're supposed to have confidence in yourself. So I have no problem with him feeling that. Yeah. It's just that with him being a division rival, and he's probably one of, if not one of the most hated athletes in the NFL, probably in the top 5. And so everything that he says, he gets a LeBron James treatment. Everything is going to be microscope, no matter what he says. Even if he comes out and says, the sky isn't blue. They're going to come back and just say, what do you mean the sky isn't blue?
So my question is this. So if he paid for 1,000 people's scholarships.
Don't do that. We're going to skip past that.
All right.
We're not going to do that.
What? All right. Okay. I'm mad.
Even Stephen A. Smith jumped into it, I don't know what he's been looking at for the last 2 years. You don't want your quarterback, the starting quarterback, the franchise quarterback to say, I know I'm not the best quarterback. You don't want that kind of confidence. You want him to be able to inspire your team to say, hey, I am the best quarterback. Let's go out and, do this, rah-rah, whatever. But banning him from social media probably was a good thing. They should have done that years ago.
Yeah. I agree. That's the best medicine that there is.
Yeah, because you've seen NCAA teams like Florida State and Auburn, I believe, have banned their players from using, in Notre Dame, have banned their players from being on social media during football season. Notre Dame has gone to the extent of taking their cell phones away during football season.
Yikes.
So,
I feel bad for poor Jalen Elliott. Shout out to him. He'll be there next season.
Yeah.
LC Bird product. But anyway, Centralia boys. Anyway, so I, to an extent, have an issue with it. I just feel as though, like you said, I don't want him to say nothing. I want him to be a point where this is one of those. This is such a very important season for him. Mm-hmm. This is like make or break for him. This could be the difference between him, just going somewhere else to having $100-something million contract.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the money season. Like, this is the year where I don't know if it just depends on what he does. He can be getting like Phillip Rivers type money.
Yeah.
If he keeps his mouth shut and if he can play and play at an elite level.
But I think okay. I don't see him getting.
I'm not projecting that, but I'm just saying it. This is such an important season where I'm not even looking at from a number standpoint. It's imperative for him to be 100% focused on this, because this is where he can be leaving millions of dollars on the table.
Yeah, but the thing with RG3, I'll never knock his talent set, because I do think he's a good football player. I just have to bash him because he plays for the enemy. Yeah. Now, I do think he's caught a bad deal. He's come to a franchise where the owner loves him, but yet every coach that he's had since he's been there hates him. They despise of him because here, Jay Gruden has, in the spring, RG3 is going to be my quarterback. He's a starting quarterback. But yet you send Kirk Cousins down to work with your brother at his football camp. Why isn't RG3 down there to make himself get better? Why not all of your quarterbacks? If you think that this is the best move for your team, it's like you're setting RG3 up to fail. All right, we're going to make Kirk Cousins better, but we're going to leave RG3 just to fend with the same tools that he's had before. So it's like they want him to fail.
I mean, and we can all, and that's one of the things where it's just like, I look at it, you're right, but I blame that solely on the owner, in a sense, because at the end of the day, because
it's like he should have picked a coach that suits him.
That's what I was getting ready to say,
and not the other way around. It's like, all right, we got this coach, we got this. All right, so I'm stuck with him. Okay, so
because if I'm
every coach wants their own type of quarterback, and then here you got these coaches who've never had a mobile quarterback. They want the traditional pocket passer because that's how their offense works.
Shanahan, of course, and that's,
you forced Kyle Shanahan to come up with this playbook to help fit RG3's standpoint, but Mike Shanahan didn't want that. Yeah. He wanted the traditional quarterback to let his zone run block scheme work, not the other way around.
And that's my issue with it too, because to me it's like if I'm the owner and I'm bringing in somebody, I want a detailed playbook of what would you do with him, what would you do with Robert. I'd be like, I would write down a list and be like, okay, what's his weaknesses? So I can say, and I'm just going to do one for this for example. Okay, I have a situation where I have an issue with him releasing the ball. He should be releasing the ball in 2.5 seconds. He's releasing it 4.2. Yeah. So what are you going to do about that? Then, okay, well, we can do this. We'll have a play, have stuff in place, because I think these guys are just here, and that's what's wrong. And like you said, and it's hurting him, because even if he survives this, there's a good chance that Jay Gruden may not survive. So a lot of people are going to look at him as a coach killer times 2. Yeah. So to me, it's almost like he's going to get a raw deal regardless, if anything. Yeah. More so than anything, like, I don't think the whole Shanahan thing was his fault in a sense. To me, in my personal opinion, but a lot of people look at it, well, Shanahan got fired because of him. And I'm like, it's totally what it is. It's just, it was a bad marriage from the start. Yeah. And to me, I feel as though, like, you underhanded Shanahan because Shanahan wanted Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
But you wanted Robert Griffin III. So it was almost like...
And then you kind of... You put your franchise in shackles by giving up what you gave up
for him.
Now here you could have stayed at that 6th pick and you could have developed your team as such. Whereas you hindered because you lost all those first round picks.
And then it's almost like you're stuck with that because it's almost like you want to at least get something worthwhile for him. Because like now is a perfect example. Now I'm torn between getting a third coach on the payroll.
Yeah.
Then getting rid of a guy I've lost 3 draft picks for.
Yeah. And then also with the coaches that have come in, they all come in with these offensive coordinators that they're joined at the hip with.
Exactly.
Not where, it's like the coordinators are yes men to the head coach. Where I'm not saying that you should have, 2 splitting personalities where they're going to butt heads repeatedly. Yeah. But you also have a coach and a quarterback who's not going to tell that coordinator no. Exactly. Like Big Shanahan was not going to embarrass his son in front of millions of people. Yeah. It wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to fire him and say, all right, because here in 2012 you had all this magic.
Exactly.
2013 come.
What happened?
Yeah, there's nothing, the remnants of nothing would happen in that second year.
And everything was getting exposed, and for him, and then he shouldn't have been on the field that early.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's another one of the things where it's not his fault technically when it comes to that type of stuff, because to me, and unfortunately, like we said, like I was telling you, a couple of times ago, like training camp the first year, and I'm like, he's struggling. He's extremely struggling. He can't even get out the field without limping. Like, and the same day James Andrews cleared him to play, he's still limping around. Like, guys, he's not 100%. I mean, a doctor can clear you for everything because there's a difference. Like, doctors can clear you for a lot of stuff that don't mean nothing. Like, he's cleared to play on the field, but he's not in football shape to play. Like, Dr. James Andrews isn't a football doctor. Yeah. He just looks at the guy's knees and say, well, yeah, he's able to play in full contact versus him being in game shape. Yeah. And, vice versa. Staying in the NFL, as we just talked earlier about the AFC West, Phillip Rivers got a 5-year, $83.25 million extension with $65 million guaranteed.
It was 4 years.
4 years or was 4? Oh, 4. Okay, 4 years. Yeah. I don't know why I said 5. But it's a 4-year with $65 million guaranteed. So he'll be getting $37.5 this season.
Yeah. Now, Phillip Rivers is one of those guys, even though he hasn't won a ton, he's one of those guys who I have no problem with him making that type of money because he is the player who the franchises lean heavily on. Yeah. He hasn't had a stud running back or a top-tier defense to get him out of trouble.
Yeah.
He has won these games with his arms.
And durability. Yeah. I mean, he's been playing 144 consecutive games
in the regular season.
So I mean, it's one of those things where he's a very very durable, and this is one of those type of situations where I don't know if this is one of those things where it's like we take him to LA with us, so we're gonna have a quarterback in place when we go to LA. So it'd be a great way to sell, the move to LA where, Phillip Rivers is going to be the king of LA and this, that, and the third with him and his 8 kids. So, it's one of those things where he gets into that mode now where he's, and like you said, it's one of those things where it's good for him because he's still playing at a high level versus his 2004 draft mate and Eli Manning actually got traded for and Big Ben. Yeah. So we was talking earlier about Eli Manning seeking to become the highest paid player. So he wasn't looking at around like the $22 million season range, which is like Aaron Rodgers. Actually, the highest paid quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Russell, Big Ben, and Phillip Rivers, and then also Cam Newton as well. So he wants to be in that $23 million deal, which in that one, and people, I've heard both ends of the spectrum, but to me, this kind of reminds me of it's like almost like giving him a lifetime achievement money. Yeah. More so than anything, because I think Eli, it's kind of reminiscent of giving Kobe Bryant the MVP in 2008. Yeah. Like it was like he should have been, like I know he got the extension a few years back. But now it's like he's definitely in a decline compared to when you're looking at because when you're looking at Phillip and you're also looking at Big Ben, their teams are extremely competitive. Like these two teams, in a sense, can make a playoff. Make a Super Bowl
they're always run. One or two in their division. Like you'll see the Giants dead last year, third place, second place, and it's not even when they go to the playoff in the division, they limp into the playoffs and then they catch their magic.
And that's what I'm saying. It's weird to think in them 2 years. It's only been in the playoffs twice. When you think, it's been 3 times. 3 times they lost to Philly. I ran into that.
I know. It's okay.
Anyway, and then 2 Super Bowl runs, and then when they lost that year after Plaxico shot itself.
Yeah. But to me, and I've caught flack for this all day long.
Yeah.
Everyone is hanging his 2 Super Bowl victories as the reason why he should get this money. And I don't think that he is in that group. Now, even though Breeze and Aaron Rodgers have only won a Super Bowl apiece.
Yeah.
That's where the cutoff is. And I don't see Eli in that spectrum as them where he's just throwing the ball, zipping it across the field. Now, mind you, he has won the 2 Super Bowls, but also with that Super Bowl win, he's also had probably the best front four in NFL history. So, and he's also been a quarterback who's led the league 3 times in turnovers and interceptions.
Yeah.
You don't give that kind of money to somebody like that.
And especially with him, there's like such a decline in play and versus the production. Like, you understand, like, I understand, like, okay, he's won 2 Super Bowls, but it's almost like a situation like, what have you done for me lately? Ever since that 2011 year, all you've seen has been a steady decline. And I mean, it's like a situation. Eli's more so of, okay, this is like farewell money. Like, this is one of the type of situations where this is a lifetime achievement kind of money. Versus where, and you want to kind of get more bang for your buck. It's like, okay, if I'm going to give him that kind of money, well, it's time for me to get a backup quarterback. It's time for me to develop somebody because I'm not trying to be strapped with this type of deal with a guy. And we know for sure, if he gets a 4-year deal like Phillip, he may not be around.
Yeah. And also, he's going to cripple that franchise. Just the way that Dallas hands all that money out to Tony Romo year in and year out. They got to restructure to make sure that this person get paid and that person get paid. So now you crippled your franchise because what's going to happen in a couple of years? You're going to have to pay Odell Beckham. All right. First and foremost, you have to fix that offensive line. Eli's not getting younger.
Yeah.
Your starting left tackle just tore his pectoral muscle. So he's out for the